I'm not sure what to call this. Thoughts from a composer, an organist, a pianist, but also a little bit of accordion, a little guitar, a few early medieval instruments. So thoughts from a composer and multi-instrumentalist. How about that? Wait, shows about that.
Shows about that. Na 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 na.
Hi everyone. I know you're used to videos of me performing some music for you, but today's video is a bit of a break from that. I'm bringing in a new vlog series here where I can share some quick musical thoughts and experiences in my own life that I hope you'll find interesting as I do. I've realized there are lots of little stories and anecdotes from my many years of being a musician that could be worth documenting in some format, so here we are. To kick things off, I thought I'd talk a little bit about something I do a lot of, and that is improvising. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about what I can remember from how I first started learning to create my own music. I took my first piano lessons from around age 5 or 6, and my teacher was both a composer and organist who grew up in Germany in the 1930s and 40s. His musical training came from the traditions in Western European music of not only learning the repertoire of the greatest classical composers of the centuries, but also including improvisation in everyday practice. Now, in today's world, unless you're a jazz musician, this concept is rarely taught anymore, but if you were a student of music in a time of, say, Bach or Mendelssohn, it would have been the most natural thing to learn how to improvise on your instrument at an early age. I think that aspect is what made it so much easier for me, as I was lucky to have a teacher who introduced me to this when I was probably 7 or 8 years old, and I wasn't as self-conscious or afraid to make mistakes when I knew barely anything about the rules and theory of Western music. And instead, I had to rely on my ears to guide me in the directions they wanted my hands to go. So I don't have an exact memory of the first time I made up my own music, but it was always the way we ended my piano lessons. Now, there were a couple different ways we approached creating new music. The first one being the easiest way for anyone to start. That is to give your left hand something musically repetitive to do that would leave your right hand free to play a melody above it. So we would make what's called an ostinato, meaning a set of notes that loop over and over again. Once we chose some notes, my left hand could play them over and over until I didn't have to think about it anymore. And in turn, I was able to start exploring what notes my right hand could play that worked with those bass notes. And it wasn't long before melodies and phrases formed naturally, allowing me to feel more confident in adding other layers to the music. It's more difficult for me to remember how the other method started, but it must have developed after the ostinato concept because it involved using both hands to create a small section of music, maybe a chord or two in the left hand, and the right hand playing a melody over it. But we would take turns playing small phrases of a few measures at a time, then letting the other player complete the idea or expand on it. This would often go on for over 10 minutes until it seemed to organically arrive at an ending. And we had created an entire new piece of spontaneous music. It was a great time of discovery for me as a kid to learn what notes go together in a way that sounded right to me. By trying new musical ideas in a simple way, and also by using my ears to form those ideas and my eyes to watch my teacher's hands at the keyboard. And he took my ideas and developed them into his sections of the piece, and then he would hand those developed ideas back to me in a little interlude so I could try to repeat back what he did in maybe a slightly different way. So if you haven't improvised before, I would say don't be afraid to. And I think we can draw a few conclusions from those lessons I had as a kid. The first being to give yourself boundaries and rules in which to play, just like any game. In my case, it was the ostinato in my left hand, as it was going to keep repeating, and it would not change. So my right hand knew it had to work within the limits of any notes that I thought could go with those left hand bass notes. The second conclusion being, I can't stress enough the importance of playing with musicians that are better than you, and to learn from the best teachers you can find. Because simply being around them brings your own musical level up naturally faster, just as immersing yourself in a place where everyone is speaking a language you're trying to learn speeds up your fluency. Well, sadly, those end of the lesson improvisations are only visual memories to me at this point, but I wish they had been recorded somehow so I could go back and hear what I sounded like as an 8-year-old improviser, because my entire musical foundation is a product of all those little melodies and details that I discovered during that time in my childhood. I also think there's something to be said about not only playing other people's music, but also making your own. Being able to express yourself musically on a more personal level. It can be cathartic, a way to let go of frustrations or just to better convey your emotions where words might not be 100% satisfactory. So consider trying to improvise sometime, and if you do it regularly, you'll quickly learn to trust where the music takes you, and who knows, you might instantly have a new song on your hands. Alright, well, I promised these would be quick, so that's all for this video. Be sure to hit like below so YouTube knows to recommend it to others, and also if you enjoy my content, then definitely subscribe to this channel. I do an improvised live stream every Sunday night called Spontaneous Sunday right here at 5 p.m. Pacific, so being a subscriber will help keep you in the loop and also grow this community. I'm Aaron Shows, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.